velocity. What does that mean? 12 centimetres across the hole at the end of the barrel, so 120 millimetres, that's how we measure it. High velocity, the rounds come out with a tremendous amount of force behind them. And as I said, they don't fire bullet-shaped rounds anymore. They knew this tank was going to have to knock out about 5 or 6 Russian tanks for every time it appeared or got knocked out itself on the battlefield if it was going to win. So they designed the gun around knocking out enemy tanks. And to do that, they put a metal dart in a piston. And when that piston is fired out the end of the barrel, it's one of the fastest things on earth by that big bag of explosive that blows up behind it. The piston leaves the end of the gun, sides of it fall away, and it leaves this metal 13-inch long metal dart flying towards the enemy tank at supersonic speed. No explosive on that dart at all. It is just by the sheer kinetic energy, in other words, the welly behind that dart, it will smash its way into the enemy tank, quite often out the other side as well. And it leaves one hell of a mess behind it. And they got this gun so accurate that 98 times out of 100, they could hit a target with the very first round out to 3 kilometres away. World War II, it tended to be 1 round over, 1 round under, and if you were lucky, the 3rd round was on the target. This thing, quite frankly, if it's pointing at you, you're a goner. That accurate, tremendously deadly gun. They put really thick armour on the Chieftain, and when the Russians got bigger guns on their tanks, what do? We bolt more armour on ours. So if you see around the gun on the turret, there's like cheap pieces of extra armour being bolted on the side to thicken up the protection. Now the one downside of the Chieftain, again, those of you who remember back to the days of British Leyland, the engine in the back was something called the British Leyland L60 engine. It was supposed to be a multi-fuel engine. In other words, you could drive it on petrol, diesel, bottle of vodka. It was still supposed to work. It didn't. It had a lot of hiccups, unfortunately, this engine, before they got it right. And when foreign countries bought the Chieftain from Britain, they insisted it had a new engine in the back because they didn't think the L60 engine was that reliable. But fantastically effective tank, and amazingly enough, in British Army service, it never once had to fire its gun in anger. And kind of in a way, that's the best weapon system to ever have. It's a big enough stick, it's a big enough threat, we never actually had to use it. And as we all know, the Cold War never became a hot war. In a way, we won without ever having to fight. So very, very successful vehicle. Now, we're going to get the driver to do something that a vehicle like this would never normally do if it was out on campaign somewhere, which is basically show off. Tank commanders are taught to hide their tanks behind hills, behind trees, to go for the sunken roads, keep the opposite side of the hedge all the time. Don't show yourself off to the enemy until you're ready. The enemy are going to hear you coming. You can hear that rumbly engine note from miles away, but don't give the enemy a target until you really have to. What we're going to get him to do now is show off by going on top of this mound, just so you can see how mobile a big 60-ton tank can be. Now the other great thing about the Chieftain, it had a gun that they could lock on the target, what they call a fully stabilised gun. You could lock the gun on the target, didn't matter where the hull was driving, the gun would fire accurately on the move. And again, if you can fire accurately on the move, again, you're a much harder target for the enemy to try and train their guns on if you're moving around the place all the time. And one of the exercises the crews of a chieftain were trained on, they were actually locked